All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn podcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.
All right, well, it's happening, everybody. Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo'S Wrestling Room, Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez and Marcus Fine. We have special guest tonight, S.W.S. Shootin with Shane. How's it going, guys?
Gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
Doing well, doing well.
Just want to say
Doing good.
for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem at all. Marcus, you want to get things started?
Yeah, we'll get it going. We're going to start from the beginning. Me and Tony talked earlier today. Since I know you're beginning more than he does, I'll pick up the first half of this. So when did you first become interested in this great sport?
Oh, man. I was a little kid. I mean, cliche answer when I was little. I used to watch wrestling with my dad all the time. He hated Ric Flair and loved the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, for his obvious reasons. My dad was a working class man, and Flair had everything, and my dad hated him for it. And he loved Dusty because Dusty was a blue collar worker himself, just like my father was. We kind of bonded over Dusty and Flair's feud. I really liked Flair. I think I just liked the flashiness of Flair and how cocky and arrogant he was. Obviously a huge fan of the American Dream as well, but that really bonded me and my father. And then I remember the first WrestleMania match I ever saw was Hogan versus Warrior at WrestleMania 6, title for title. And after that, man, I was just hooked. Like I was in it. Like WWF Superstars all the time. All the Saturday morning cartoons with the Hogan stuff that they were doing at the time. I was into it. Had all the wrestling buddies, like just dove right in.
Well, it's funny you said that because I was going to ask you what your earliest WrestleMania was, because we're starting to ask that question to kind of help me and Tony date where we're at. You said 6. You remember any before that, or is that your first one?
That was my first actual WrestleMania that I got to watch. At that time, like I was still going to bed pretty early. So, and I remember like watching like different pay-per-views and stuff and with my dad. And then I remember being a huge fan of, as any kid was at that time, being a huge Hulkamaniac. And then I loved the Ultimate Warrior. So to see two of those guys, wrestling each other, because at that time for a kid, it was different, and when they threw the title stipulation on the match, I was just like, oh my God, as a kid, I'm like, wow, somebody's going to walk out with both of these championships. And I just remember begging my mom and dad, like, please let me stay up. Please let me stay up. So my dad convinced my mom to let me stay up with him and his friends and watch the whole thing. And man, I just remember like that match stuck out to me so much as a kid. Like that has just like, I've talked to my own son about that match quite a bit.
All right. So that was, let's see, WrestleMania 6 was 1990. Okay. Now we have talked about our earlier EWF days.
Correct. Yeah.
We've crossed paths, and one day the pictures will come out, and I will see you and Baby DeVille in the audience at one time. But tell us how that come about.
So I grew up in Marion, Indiana. As a teenager, wasn't a lot to do there. Me and my friends used to skateboard and do BMXing and things like that. My older brother had mentioned to me about that he was going to go to a punk rock show. And at that time, I was really into punk rock music. Still am. Kind of, again, it goes back to begging my mom and dad, hey, can I please go, you know? And they're like, yeah, just make sure that you stay safe. And I was like, all right. And I remember going, and me and my brother and a couple of our buddies actually skateboarded, because it was the EWF arena, the original one, was just right down the road from us. And that was at a time when it was in the Raintree Plaza. So I only lived, like, skateboarding wise, I think we got there in like 5 minutes, you know, so there's only a handful of blocks away. Got there and then was checking out the punk bands, and then come to find out the owner, Jason Maples, shout out to Jason, he actually was doing wrestling on the other side of the building. So where you'd get your tickets at for either the punk rock shows on one side, and then come to find out there was wrestling on the other. And I was like, man, this is hand in hand for me. And found out that next night, because the punk rock show was on a Friday night, and then wrestling show was the following night. So me and my friends, we got together and we're like, hey, we got to go check this out. So we went, and yeah, man, the rest is history. Like, I really loved going to EWF, man. It was just
yeah, I really is. Okay, well, I want to jump around since you brought that up. So did you ever think that, because you've seen Justin Danger, Anarchy in his earlier days, what do you think now that there is? That you watched him in his rookie years to be working actually with him today?
Oh, man. Honestly, it's really honoring. It's really humbling too, because like you said, going back, you know, I got to see him in his Anarchy days. I remember him wrestling Raven when they had moved buildings. You know, I actually have his photograph with Raven that he signed for me last time he was on the show, hanging on my refrigerator. But yeah, man, to answer your question, Marcus, really cool, man. You know, Justin's been around for a long time. I've always been a huge fan. I'm still a huge fan of Danger. It's really cool, you know, because it's different when you're younger and you're watching from the perspective that me and my friends were watching from at that time. And then now, you know, to be working in the same company with somebody that I looked up to in that wrestling community at that time. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
how old is Danger?
well, he was like 15, I think, in 2000. Yeah,
Danger is damn near my age.
I mean, he was just a kid, literally just a kid.
Okay. Because I was getting, wait a minute. I said, you know, if he was like 30 when you was like 15, I said, how old is this dude? I didn't know he was only 15. I didn't know how old he was.
Justin, how old were you in 2000? Because that's when I started going, March of 2000.
Justin says he'll be 40 next year. He started at the age of 13.
Wow, he's younger than you.
The same. Yeah.
He's a young pup.
Yeah, because I started going back and forth to EWF because he did shows every Saturday. Then he started doing those Wednesday shows. So we were running that road back and forth a lot that year because the Wednesday shows were free.
Yeah, and then the Saturday shows you had to pay, yeah.
But then we become members, so we got to reserve our seats. If you remember, the front row was reserved for the members. So we paid the membership fee, and we were on that wall over there by Karen. You remember Karen?
Vaguely.
We sat next to her. She had the door right there, the seat right next to the emergency exit. And we were the fourth seats right next to
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely remember the front row thing. Because I just loved that it was a theater.
Well, yeah, the first time I walked in there, like, this is unreal.
Yeah, that's how I was. Like I said, I was young. I was probably 12 going on 13 when I went in there. And see, and that's another thing too that was really cool, because Danger and I are about pretty much just a few months apart. So, you know, it's really cool for me to be into wrestling like I was at that time, and then seeing a guy my age doing it, you know. So yeah, man, it's really cool to be able to hang out with Danger and AACW.
All right, Tony, you want to go, and then I'll hit later years.
Yeah. Just some questions here real quick. What's been the hardest thing for you to learn being in the pro wrestling business?
Couple things. Number one, I think for me, staying humble. That's really important. Like it is for me. You know what I mean? I used to play music years and years ago. Had some big deals with radio stations like 98.9 The Bear and things like that, and it's weird because I'll still get calls or text messages from people going, "Oh, hey, I still hear you being played on The Bear." And I'm like, that's really cool as a thing of the past, but at that time I wasn't very humble, I was very cocky and arrogant. I got handed things a little too quickly. Didn't quite have to earn it, I guess. Right place, right time. So in the wrestling world, I've had to earn everything. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I just walked in that locker room and people were just like, "Oh, hey, you're S.W.S. Cool." No, it was, like I had to walk in just like anybody else. And you got to show respect, man, and like I said, it's being humble. Being humble is the most important thing for me. As far as part two of the answer, business, like really learning the business. You get into wrestling and you think you know everything because you've watched it your whole life growing up. You can be 45 years old, whatever, you could watch it for 40 years. But until you walk through and you get a chance to talk to promoters and you get a chance to talk to the talent, hear their stories, things like that.
Yeah, we had a fan wanting to know who Mr. Of course, I remember the guy from Connecticut.
Billy.
Billy wanted to know. I'm terrible with names. Sorry, guys. Billy wanted to know who was your favorite rock band, punk band. Excuse me.
Oh, like my all-time favorite, or just like a couple of them?
Yeah, probably a couple.
Right off the top of my head, man, hands down, my daughter's actually named after one of the songs. That's the Ramones. Ramones are my all-time favorite band. They're actually tied with Motorhead. If I had to pick between the two, I would go Ramones, but I always answer that question with Ramones/Motorhead. So yeah. And then I love Rancid. I've always loved Rancid. But yeah, those Ramones definitely my favorite.
Okay.
Never a bad song with those guys.
What's the best piece of advice you've been given while you've been in the wrestling business?
Oh man. Do business the right way. Do it for business. Keep all the personal stuff and all the personal crap out of the business. If you have an opportunity to do business, then you need to do business. You can do personal outside the business, but when it comes to where you're working and things like that, I won't mention who told me this, and it wasn't me personally or anything like that. That's just how I feel about it. If you have personal issues with somebody, just keep it out of the business. Just do that on your own time.
What do you love about the wrestling business, and what do you dislike about the wrestling business?
Right off the bat, I got to go with what I love about it the most is just walking through the curtain and just, hearing the crowd. That's such an adrenaline rush. Because like with me, like I'm just myself. Like I'm pretty much like a lovable jerk. So it's very easy for people to like dislike me. And if I know that I've got to do that, and make them dislike me, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I know the old classic saying is, "Oh, you just be yourself and turn it up to an 11." No, man, I'm gonna go ahead and go to 100. I'm going to turn it all the way up. If I'm going to turn it up, if it's too loud, you're too old. You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely love that pop, man. I love the crowd. I love it. Again, it brings me back to the days of music and things like that. It's an adrenaline rush. And until people actually, experience that, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a high that you'll never get again. You know what I mean? Like you always have that first time. And I should remember my first time walking through that curtain, and it was just like heart was beating, palms were sweating, the whole classic 9 yards. But, what I dislike about it, honestly, nothing, man. I mean, I think I've just, like I said, I'm almost 40. I mean, like if we're talking about like major companies and things like that, there's just things that like I'll watch, like I'll watch different products. I'll watch WWE, I'll watch TNA, I'll watch Ring of Honor, which is owned by AEW now, plus AEW. I'll watch New Japan, huge fan of New Japan. I think it's just like the way that some stuff is booked. Maybe like me as like a fan, I'm like, maybe I wouldn't have booked it like that. So I kind of find myself disliking things like that.
All right, we got a question from another person in the comment section. Kelly Fine says, I have a question. Which super fan do you like the best, Kelly or Marcus?
Well, I have a cane, and I know how bad that thing can sting, and so do a few others. So I got to go with Kelly Fine because I don't want the Hall of Fame cane coming after me next.
Yeah, the cane that's been in more matches than Roman Reigns has this year.
I'm telling you, it is. It is too.
What's up, Chris?
As a manager, or at least for you, being a wrestling manager, what do you think what your purpose is? What's your job when you're out there?
Oh man. Well, right now, obviously, crowd don't like me too much, so that makes my job really easy. My clients, my good brothers, shout out to Called X, Fours Down gentlemen. When I go out there, I'll use Ricky for example. When I go out there with Ricky, he's obviously already hated. Doesn't need much from me per se, but again, I go out there and I turn it up to 100. I go out there, man, and I want the crowd to know that like my guy right here, my client, this is who you're supposed to be booing, and I want to help get the face over, like get the crowd roared up, get behind that face as far as, me bleeding that onto them. I want to go out there and be such a jerk that they're like, okay, well, even if there's one person in that crowd that's like, oh, I'm a Ricky Guns fan, by the end of the match, you're not going to be. Me and Ricky, we work very well off each other. So, yeah, man, I just go out, I hype that crowd, man. I've always been a hype man and very good at talking. I'm a silver tongue devil. So going out there and just speaking my mind, oh man, that's exactly what I know I got to do. And that's exactly what I do. Crowd just hates me. The crowd loves to hate me.
People you would like to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to yet.
Like managing somebody, or one of my guys facing off against somebody that I would like to have.
Either way, manage somebody else or go against or
manage. But obviously him and I, we're not really on the best of terms right now. That's Damien DeVille. I think if Damien would get his head out of his ass and stop listening to these idiotic Kokomo fans, maybe him and I could get back on the same page. And yeah, Damien would be the guy I'd want to manage. Yeah. Justin Danger is another one. I would love to manage Danger. Again, going back, a huge fan, got a lot of history there with him. Would love to manage DeVille and Danger.
Any other promotions that you would like to work for other than you have so far?
Yeah, I definitely like to work at WCWO. I'd love to be at the arena. I think that would be a lot of fun. I know Marcus goes down there every Friday pretty much. And then on special occasions when they do Saturday shows. WCWO is right on the top of the list. DCCW is another one that I would like to definitely work for. I've actually got to go to my first show of them here, I don't know, a few months back. Had a blast. Would love to bring one of my guys there and work that event or one of those events with those two companies for sure.
Okay, best decision you've made in your wrestling career so far, and possibly maybe one of your, if you've made a bad decision, one of your worst decisions.
Man, best decision. Let's start with the worst decision. Worst decision, again, it goes back to letting personal get into business. I've done that. I consider myself very controversial. Again, I'm a silver tongue devil. I have a big mouth. I speak my mind freely. And I really don't care who likes me and who doesn't. And that's always kind of been like my MO. I've always kind of felt like I'm just that guy, like I have a voice and I'm going to use it, like we all have a voice and we all have a right to say what we want. And that's kind of held me up a few times in my life. So yeah, worst decision was letting personal get into business. I got to talk to, some people about things and got some really good advice on how to handle things and things like that. And again, I won't mention any names, but because there's certain conversations I like to keep private. But yeah, it's definitely the worst thing. Again, yeah, bringing personal in the business. That just, yeah. But I had a really good brother who kind of helped me see the light on that a little bit here a while back. So that would be there. Best decision, man, honestly. And again, I'm going to go ahead and mention Damien DeVille. Taking that phone call and him inviting me to my first ever AACW event. That was the best thing I've done so far, because that has opened so many doors for me. I've got to meet a lot of really cool people so far and talk to a lot of really intelligent people and really get to pick brains. And I love that. I really do. I love to be able to sit down and just talk to people. There are certain people that I like to ride with because I like to pick their brain. I like to hear their stories. So again, yeah, definitely best thing I've done in the wrestling business so far was answering DeVille's call and showing up in Kokomo for the first time at AACW, man.
Okay. Marcus, you want to?
Yeah, because that's perfect right there. It's perfect. Because I was getting ready to ask you. You walked into the locker room by accident, and the rest is history.
I did. Yeah. So, okay. So what happened was, Chris and Tony, I don't know if you know this. So what happened was I got a call from Damien, and my wife, Emmy, and I, we were actually going to be in Kokomo hanging out with my in-laws for dinner. And so Damien called me and said, hey, brother, you should come to this show that I'm working. And I said, all right, well, where is it? So he texts me the address. I show up. I seen the one door, but it looked more like a back door. So I was like, okay, well, this is the entrance. So I just opened the door and walk in. Well, when I walked in, I'm in the actual locker room. And it was just like, it wasn't like nobody cared, you know what I mean? Like, and it was such a cool feeling. And then that's when I knew, like, I was like, okay, this is going to be a lot of fun tonight. And, but yeah, man, walking into that wrong door, that kind of set up a couple things. So yeah, it was a lot of fun that night, man.
Yeah. Because they got you into commentating. You did ref a match. We'll get to that here after a bit. Well, I guess we'll get into that now, because they had you commentating with Leonard for a while. Is that right?
Yeah. They because I had met Shane that night. I'd hung out afterwards to hang out with DeVille, and then he introduced me to Calcert, and we found out that we had 2/3 the same name, so we kind of hit it off. And he had knew that I had already been doing the S.W.S podcast. And at that time, I think I want to say I maybe had 2 of his guys who had already appeared on there, maybe, or maybe they were going to appear. And then Shane was doing a podcast at the time, and he was like, hey, next weekend you come on mine and I'll come on yours. And I said, all right. And then so I went on his show, and then the next day he came on S.W.S, and then we got to talking, and he was like, hey, you should come in and do some commentary. And then, yeah, he put me with Pig, and yeah, so we went there, and then we went to the voice thing and all that.
Yeah, because then you started opening shows up.
Yeah, it became which was a lot. But I think the just got tired of me. Like, it was just so easy, like, for them to, like, not like me. Like, I don't know. Like,
and I'll jump ahead. Yeah, when you guys came out at the last show, yeah, they instant heat.
Oh yeah,
and I love a crowd that does that. And Chris and Tony say that too. If you can get a crowd to do that, you've got it made.
Oh yeah, because
walk out the curtain.
Like, I've joked to a couple of people, some people have to walk out and they have to, like, not like beg for it, they have to work for it. Like, me personally, I mean, like, all of Coldex, but me personally, like, I walk out first, and the crowd sees me, and they're just like, we don't like him, and yeah, it was just, and like, funny thing too was, because like doing like the whole voice thing, I remember, just being disgruntled with the fans, and the fans were starting to get disgruntled with me, and you could just feel that tension between me and the fans, and it was growing and growing and growing. And I've always said that there were two guys, in my opinion, that turned me heel that night, and I'll never forget that night, man. It was the Dirty Birds. I was actually on a commentary with Tony and Chris. And again, I was doing the voice thing. And all I did was announce that the match was going to restart because the illegal man was pinned for the tag titles. And the moment that happened, and the Dirty Birds walked by Gonzo'S, they gave me the birdie. And after that, the crowd they were like, we just don't like S.W.S. anymore. And
good turn, yep.
Transition to that.
Yeah. Took the moment and ran with it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was my opportunity.
The first show AECW show you was at when you went to watch, was that at what building was that at?
That would have been at the little tiny one. Oh shoot, what was that place called? Man,
I think it's the same one you guys figured out.
Yeah, well, I think I'm thinking that might have the night we was there at our first show might have been the same night he was there.
Yeah, it was the one with the low ceilings. Because we went to Carver right after that.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, he was the show you was at. That was your first show. That was our first time being at AACW as well.
Yeah, because I remember you guys being there because you guys were doing the commentary set up by the wall.
Yep, that was our first time being there.
And like one thing, gentlemen, I've always mentioned, I actually do miss that arena. Like, don't get me wrong, I love where we're at now. I really do. It's a great place.
Well, it might have been the one before because Epoxy Jones said he believed it was the fans bring the weapons night. Was you at that match?
Was, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so it was right. It was before, like one before us.
Yep.
Show or two.
Yep, one or two before us. Okay.
Yeah.
That was called the. Shane said Cowser said that was the Alliance Event Center.
There it is. Yeah, the Alliance Event Center. Yeah, because it had the little comic book shop right across from it there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was just a couple before we went to our first AECW show. Okay.
Shane, I kind of agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I love the venue you guys are in now.
Yeah.
I think it's great. But them little small places like that where you're really packed in,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of fun. It really is because you're just so close. I've always kind of liked those kind of places. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like that little place, it was just like, for me, that's where it started, so obviously it's going to hold a special spot in my heart for that reason alone. But just the energy from the few times that I was there before we moved to the next building. Oh, I mean, when you walked in, you could feel it in the air. I mean, it was just one of those feelings. It brought me back to the EWF days, like in the theater, because that's about the size of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then, like I said, that was what, maybe you guys' third show? You did?
I think it was our third
show that they did, and I wasn't even doing commentary or anything back then. But yeah, being in that building, and like I said, from the first time I walk in, them Kokomo fans are crazy and best fans. They since I've been going up to Kokomo, so shout out to all them fans out there from Kokomo.
Yeah, absolutely,
they're outstanding. Best
fans. I've been to quite a few places, and Kokomo's crowd is wild. Oh man, it don't take much to get them riled up.
And they stay hot the whole show too.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's never really like a dry spell with Kokomo. It's once that pre-match bell rings, they're ready to go, man. I mean, they're waiting, a month in between shows for this. So when they get that opportunity to go out there and be able to cut loose and, cheer for their favorites and boo the ones that they hate, they take every chance they can get on that. And again, from the bottom of my heart, man, I'm sorry, but AECW Kokomo has the best fans in the world. Like,
we're not arguing. Yeah, I'll say we're not arguing at all.
I have another question. Favorite AACW match and why?
Favorite AECW match and why? Oh, hands down, fans bring the weapons. That right there was right before I started working for AECW officially, as doing commentating. And man, I remember I had to stand on my chair because the crowd had rushed the ring in such an implosion. That match was so red hot. That feud was so red hot. And, you had at the time, Dynamite Justin Terrell, and then you had Christian Cash taking on Brody. And oh my goodness, I mean, it was just from bell to bell. It was carnage, car wreck, classic, Mick Foley reference. It's a car wreck, when you have to stand on your chair because you can feel the body heat off of people because we were just so packed in there and they kept coming in, on the side that I was on. I could see the door and, before the match, people were still coming in, and during the match, people were still coming in. And it got to a point, it just got so packed in there. There were multiple people standing on their chairs, just trying to get video. That right there, I was like, I want to be a part of this company. Hands down, fans bring the weapons.
You also had another one with ladies division coming to AACW. Have you thought about managing a lady?
I have. Yeah. I have. There's a couple women. I won't bring them up. But there are a couple girls that Cult X myself have our eyes on. So I won't give away any names again, but yeah, definitely have. And I'm actually really excited for a women's division. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll give this upcoming year a whole new facelift, for AACW. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And then another one out of the comment section is, what match would you like to see in AACW?
What match would I like to see? Yo, what up, kid? Match I'd like to see. Well, to be honest, okay, I have a few. I want to see Ricky Guns and Damien DeVille. I still want to see Damien DeVille and Christian Cash in an ultimate submission. That's something that I would love to see. And then I've got to go with, and this is something that I've been pushing for a while. I want to see Johnny Crisis versus Damien DeVille in a ladder match.
I have a match I'd like to see. I'd like to see Zay Gates against Tanner Kelly.
That would be a phenomenal match right there.
But see, that's a match you can't have at that other building.
No,
yeah, exactly. Way too low for that type of stuff.
And then got another one from Shane Kauser. How do you rate your work so far in AACW?
What's up, boss man? How do I rate my work personally? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, like where I'm at right now, again, going back to like I talked about with talking to other people, being humble is something that you really got to learn. So with what I've done right now, being, going from commentary to the voice, to going to the cult leader, I think the cult stuff is the best stuff I've done thus far. But even then, I'm still learning, man. I'm still studying tape. I watch wrestling every day with my kids. My daughter's starting to really get into color, so she's really starting to watch. But yeah, man, I still go back and watch, guys. I'm not even halfway where I feel like I need to be. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with what I've done, I'd say 4.5.
Tanner Kelly said, "Book it." When you said Zay Gates and Tanner,
It'd be a lot of fun.
And Shane Kauser had another one. What do you feel was the greatest moment so far you've seen in AACW?
I've seen the greatest moment so far that I've seen. Oh man, oof. Think about that one for a minute. Oh man, that's a tough one there. Wasn't expecting that. I think the evolution of AACW. If I have to go off the top of my head after thinking for a quick second, I think it was back there, but then it popped through. The evolution of AACW, because again, I didn't get to see it from the very beginning, but I got to see it in like early stages of kind of like where it was going, and then I was able to, I was privileged to be able to jump on that ship, and watch the evolution. It's been a lot of fun, man. It really has, because again, going back to see where it was to where it is now. There's a lot of cool things that ACW is doing that a lot of places aren't. So that right there again, it just goes back to the evolution. You know, I mean, look at the new logo. Obviously, that, you know, we got the new logo. You know, we're starting to bring back the really classic looking flyers. I feel like, you know, advertising shows. We're bringing back, man, you know, we're bringing in the women's division. The programs, you know, we're bringing programs back to independent pro wrestling. You know what I mean? I haven't seen one of those since, man, probably mid 90s, late 90s. So yeah, definitely the evolution.
Since we've been going the last couple of years, I think the two moments that stand out probably most to me is Christian Cash winning the championship and the crowd reaction.
Yep.
And then the last show, when the Dirty Birds got the tag team belts, the pop of the crowd that they got. I would say them are two of the top moments I've seen there.
I had another one too. It was with Shane Kauser with the bull rope match.
Yeah, and the bull rope match.
The pop there. That it was outstanding too. So yeah, I've told Marcus I describe you guys as old school, and I love old school. So you guys are kind of an old school promotion. See, we go to a lot of different places, and every place has got their own thing. I mean, we go to Buck. He's real storyline driven.
Warrior Pro Wrestling.
Warrior Pro. It's real storyline driven. It's a little bit different than what AECW. Not that it's better or worse. It's different. Same thing with DCCW with Mike King and Terry Coons. They're doing a lot of bigger shows and bringing a lot of different talent and some bigger names, you know, talent. It's different. Not that it's better, not that it's worse. It's different. So I mean, we go to a lot of different places. We was just at Crawfordsville. Also kind of an old school feel, at least for me. And I like that old school feel. And it's again, it's different. So I think every place is doing a lot of different things and doing a lot of good stuff. So, but I love Kokomo. I think that you guys do a great job.
Thank you, man. I definitely appreciate it. We definitely try to put on a hell of a show, man. We really do. And it's a lot of fun, man. Like I said, going back to the fans, it's, you know, it's just a hell of a feeling to walk through that curtain.
The fans make them shows.
Absolutely.
If you got the fans on your side, you got it made. You can have the worst match, but if you got the fans cheering, is it really the worst match?
Right.
And
yeah.
I've seen some damn good matches where the fans are just sitting there. It's like, okay, well, you may have a good match, but if the fans ain't into it, is it really a good match?
And Shane, you give yourself a 4.5. I think that's too low. And I'm gonna be straight up honest. When you guys first came up with the call next, I'm gonna be straight up honest. I'm not gonna lie to you. Marcus knows I'm telling the truth. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. I thought for me it was crickets at first.
Yeah,
me and Shane have talked about that.
But it changed. You know, you guys are definitely heading in the right direction. I think you guys got something. I still think there might be a little piece missing. I don't know what that is, but I think you guys are definitely in the right direction. And I like what you guys are doing.
I agree.
I really appreciate the words, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, like you were saying, Tony, when we first did it, man, we worked, you know, like when we first walked out, you know, I don't think anybody knew what to expect, you know? And then, yeah, it's just you know, even like I was saying, with the evolution of ACW as a whole, you know, the evolution of Called X, you know, got to get with those guys, and, you know, we are brothers, you know, and we talk every day, you know, we're always, you know, bouncing stuff off each other. We're always doing stuff. So it's really easy when you're that close with people to really like be like, all right, what can we do that's going to piss people off to make them hate us even more? All right, well, we're going to do this. And then, you know, we kind of take it and we see how far we can push it, you know? And, but yeah, thank you very much, Tony, for the kind words, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. And that's another thing with you guys' group. When you stop and think about it, you don't have a lot of veterans in that group. A lot of young, you know, guys have been in the business 2-3 years, you know, maybe even less. So you guys are just now coming together. So I mean, I think it's going to work. But like I said, I mean, you definitely heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like a group of underdogs, man.
Kelly had another question. Do you think there should be more managers in independent wrestling?
Absolutely.
Yes. Needs to be more on regular pro wrestling.
Well, I think there does need to be more managers, but they need to be used properly too. Because you see and I'm not going to name no names. There ain't really nobody that we see a lot, but we have been places where you see managers come out and basically they're just in your way. They're just standing there right in your way where you can't see. They're not adding nothing. They're not adding nothing. They're not yeah. They're not adding nothing to the product or to the match or anything. So I do agree there needs to be more, but I think they gotta be used properly, because sometimes you'll get a manager and he's basically just standing right in front of somebody that's trying to watch and not really adding anything to the product.
Yeah, not bringing any heat to his client or bringing any pop to his client. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like what Shane Calser just said, managers have to know what to do when they're out there. I
But
agree
having
100%.
guys bring their girlfriends to ringside to stand there and watch them because they don't know what to do. All they're doing is standing in my way, and if they're not interacting with the fans, their job is to get those fans to hate the guy in the ring or to cheer the guy in the ring, not just stand there.
No, yeah, I agree with Marcus 100%. Yeah, and I agree with Chris too. And I agree with Shane. And again, I got to talk to a lot of really cool people on a daily basis to get a lot of really cool tips. And like I said, I go back and I watch tape all the time, and I study the ones that I've always watched, and I watch, and I have a list in my mind of like, I'm going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And if I add it with this and mix it all together and then turn it up to that 100 volume, like I love to do all the time, let's see what we get, and,
Ravi's usually with us.
Yeah, Justin Danger says Ravi stays out of the way.
Ravi normally sits in front of me during those shows.
Yeah, he usually does.
What's up, good brother Justin?
Well, now that he's on there, and we knew he was on there, let's talk about this sitting in the audience at NGW events. Now, we know better that you're just not there to watch the show.
I'm a fan of NGW. I'm a fan of the product. I'm a fan of Danger. Like, I've made that, clear. I've known Danger many years. So
we know there's a hidden agenda. Can you talk about that? Or
all I can really say about that is just like I said, Tanner and I, one day we seen that Danger was on a show, and we said, hey, let's make the drive, and we went and we sat in the crowd. We watched the match, good match. We said hello to Danger, and then wash, rinse, repeat. We end up coming back to, show our support and just to let Danger know that he doesn't have to walk alone in this dark world. I mean, there's always a path that anybody can follow, but like I said, as of right now, just huge fans. Tanner and I, the Tanner Kelly, we're just huge fans.
I ain't buying it. Because there's that photo that surfaced with you and Danger talking somewhere. Oh yeah, that. Just, some people say it's a conspiracy. Some people say it's a coincidence. I'll say it's a coincidence. I just happened to be at a place that he was at, and we just sat down and had a quick chat. It was just basically, hey, how you been? Good to see you. He got his food, and out the door he went, and I finished my meal and went home. Like I said, I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan. I'm a huge fan of Danger. Always have been. Danger don't feel the same about you, according to this.
Let's see here. You're lucky. Ravi is telling me I can't rip you apart. Well, let's see. And that's the thing too, like I've had a lot of conversations with Ravi. Ravi and I, we've gotten to speak now twice. And Ravi's telling me some things, and I'm like, all right, I'm listening. Are you? And Danger says that he's listening, but I don't know. I guess the next time I see Ravi, I guess we'll have to have another conversation.
All right, so let's ask you this. You also stated when you invaded the G.W.R set on Saturday that you were watching Zay Gates. You got something in the back of your mind about Zay Gates?
My son, the Tanner Kelly, again, huge fan of Zay Gates. He really likes Zay. So when we found out that Zay was in the building same night that we were there supporting Danger, yeah, Tanner was like, hey, this guy right here, man, watch him. And I've been watching Zay for a while. So when Tanner brought up Zay, I was like, all right, man, I'm paying attention. So yeah, again, just showing love to good brothers. You know what I mean?
I got a question real quick. You guys, I know you've seen a lot of different managers, but you remind me of one. And not that he's a big successful guy now. He wasn't necessarily that successful at the time he was doing this character. Remind me a little bit of Cyrus the Virus. You remember him?
I do not know. Cyrus the Virus.
Is that that's Sinister Minister, right?
No. He was in WWE back about the time about 96, 97. He had Kurgan. He had Kurgan, the big giant, and he had a cough. And now he's the guy. It was, man, I can't think of his name, but he was involved with TNA. He was involved with he left there. Now he's in AEW, and he's feuding.
Kenny, while
he's feuding with Kenny Omega now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, right on.
Yeah, you might check some of his stuff out.
Justin Danger said he managed Truth Commission.
Yeah, the Truth Commission.
Yeah, and then Don Callis.
Callis, that's who it is. Yep. But he was Cyrus the Virus there for a while. What'd you say?
Now I
thought he was in ECW there for a while too.
Yep, he was in ECW also.
That's why Chris K also just said he was in ECW as well.
Also,
that's when I remember seeing him.
Was that ECW?
Yeah.
Yep. But you might check out some of his stuff early on, because you've got that kind of vibe.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, I never really thought about Don before, but yeah, I'll definitely look into his older stuff then. Yeah, because like I said, I'm a huge fan of Don now. I loved when him and Kenny were together. I thought him and Kenny were like the new version of Heyman and Punk.
Okay, I can see that.
All right,
Marcus, you got any more?
I think the audience per se took over my paper. All the chat room, and that's fantastic. We'd like to have that happen.
Yep.
But I was getting ready. I had stuff here, and every time I do that, either Shane, Danger, somebody get on there and ask the questions. It's like, hey, this is fantastic. So
I've got a couple more real quick. Then I've got. Do you have any hobbies?
Oh yeah,
I do have a few here too.
I'm a huge toy collector. I have been collecting toys, anything from vintage to modern, anything from wrestling to horror. Those are my two go-tos. Anything and everything Ghostbusters. Yeah, man. And then I do a little bit of painting on the side. It's something I like to do in the office when I have the time to do it. I usually paint horror. I think I've only painted one painting that didn't have like a horror theme to it, and it was like a field of daisies for my mother. She just was like, hey, do something that's not a horror related painting. All right, what do you want? And she was like, do this. All right. So yeah, I said, but collecting toys, man. And then just hanging out with my kids. I love my son, I love my daughter. So those are my hobbies right there.
Favorite food?
Definitely got to go chili dogs. I am a chili dog guy. Can never get enough.
Usually it's hamburgers.
Love chili dogs.
Okay. Talked a little bit about music, but what are you listening to right now?
Well, I grew up on a lot of outlaw country. And I kind of I've always listened to that my whole life. Conway Twitty, George Jones, Tammy Wynette, Hank Sr. is my all-time favorite singles performer. Right now, it's that stuff. It's almost like I reverted back. The older I've gotten, I understand my father a little bit more now, after working like long, hard days and drinking ice cold beer and then playing with your kids and then throwing on a good Merle Haggard record or something like that. You know what I mean? So definitely listen to a lot of outlaw country right now. Listening to a lot of 50s rock again too. I've kind of went back into that. Love the Temptations, Chuck Berry, one of the GOATs, Jerry Lee Lewis, stuff like that right now.
Thoughts on CM Punk right now?
I'm really happy that he came back. I was really hoping, Tony, I know you and I were talking briefly about this at NGW here though at the last show. I personally was hoping for a TNA return for him. I really thought that he could have really helped boost up that company. I've always been a huge fan of TNA/Impact. I know they've struggled over the last few years. Great company though. But yeah, I mean, all in all, Punk's best for business. You know, he's very controversial. Like he had made a promo. I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown. I want to say it was Raw. I think it was when he first made the promo back. You know, he made a line that kind of stuck with me during that promo, and it was, after 10 years, you people never forgot me. You always chanted my name, and you just wouldn't quit. You know, and you know, I think the guy's going to go down in history. Some guys love him, some guys don't. I'm personally a huge CM Punk fan. I have followed him since the strip club match way back in the day with Homicide. And then I've loved all the straight edge society stuff that he does. And honestly, I think he's a great role model for kids to an extent. Obviously, you know, there's some people that say he has a bad attitude, but I think anybody can have a bad attitude. But as far as being the straight edge guy, I think that's really cool. My son looks up to him. So obviously I drink and smoke cigarettes. And I love that Punk is a big influence on my son personally. So, you know, that will hopefully, you know, persuade him not to do drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes, things like that. So, hey, like I said, Punk's best for business. You know, if him and Triple H can work it out, the company can work it out. I just want to see him and Rollins, and I want to see him and Reigns. If I can get those two matches, and then if we could throw a third on there, that'd be the icing on the cake for me. I want to see AJ and Punk 3. If we can get that, I'd be fine if Punk did whatever Punk did in WWE.
There's been some rumors that he's been spending some time down at NXT, maybe even doing some training with some of the kids down there. So that could be somewhere he may end up eventually someday.
He's been working with Cora Jade a lot too, especially up on her return. You could see a lot of the influence from Cora. I remember when Cora first came in doing like the skater chick thing, I was like, all right, I'm a fan of it, but it was like a mixture of like AJ Lee to me. And I didn't know quite how I felt about it. But then when you find out the relationship, you know, Punk calls her his kid, you know, and it's like, okay, now I get it. And I see how it's so easy for her to be doing what she's doing right now. And I think that young lady had an absolute great return.
Yep, I agree. Go back to the chili dogs real quick. Where's the best chili dog? What place has got the best chili dog to get?
Oh man. Well, besides the ones I make at home, because man, I love loading down the chili dogs. Oh man. There was a bar here actually. It didn't last very long. Bar and Grill. Their food was phenomenal.
That's where and then Plate Street. Is that what you just said?
But honestly, right now, in Kokomo, my personal favorite is Cone Palace. I love their chili cheese dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Phenomenal too, because you got to have a good chip or a good fry to go with a good chili dog. You know what I mean? And Cone Palace has really, really good fries, and they definitely load them up in them giant, large cups that they give you. It's awesome food.
And you said Plate Street, right?
Yeah, it was on Plate. I believe it was like.
Well, that used to be center stage. Because if Shane's still on here, they used to run AECW events in that building after Plate Street closed out.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been in that building. That was that used to be an adult entertainment building there. Where
I'm thinking, because right there across from the Hacienda.
No, not there. No, this. Let's see here. This would have been right down the road from the old venue.
Okay.
I haven't lived in Kokomo long, so I'm still learning street names.
Kelly,
like
Jay Culture said no, not the same place.
What about this Louis?
Yeah, Hypocrisy Jones says Louis, Coney Island, and Kokomo.
It's a funny story. I have not had that yet. We've lived in Kokomo now since May. We moved here in May, and every time we try to go, we're either too busy or bills come up and we just don't have the funds. You know what I mean? And I'd rather have bills paid than, you know, expend and do all that stuff. But we actually drove by it. We were going to the bank so I could cash a check the other day, and we drove by it, and Emmy had made a comment. She goes, man, I wish they were open on Mondays because we're both off today and we'd be able to eat there. So yeah, I have not had it, but I've heard great things.
Okay. Just a couple more questions from me. What's your take on WWE right now? The good and the bad. Same thing for AEW, good and bad.
Starting with WWE, they're red hot right now. when AEW first started, I really thought there was a lot of talk that, you know, this company could possibly shut the door on this multi-billion-dollar company, you know, and you always hear that because WCW tried that too. But man, AEW, they were red hot there for a minute. And now it's just, you know, a lot of people are jumping ship. A lot of people are, you know, asking for releases. A lot of people just don't want to work for the company. You know, one guy recently, Jeff Hardy, just brought up the fact that he hates it there. He does not want to end his career in AEW. He wants to go back to WWE and have his final run. Jeff's very disgruntled. I read they're not utilizing the Hardy Boys like they initially planned. So that would be the bad for AEW. They have a lot of great talent that you don't really get to see from when they first started. But yeah, like the good for AEW, they were red hot. I mean, I was, you know, my wife and I, we were buying all the pay-per-views and having all of our friends and family come over, and we were doing, you know, huge cookouts or huge, you know, get-togethers for these pay-per-views, you know, and those things were $50 a whop, you know, but they were worth it, man. They put on amazing pay-per-views, but WWE, oh man, they're red hot again right now. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know if Triple H, man, you know, Triple H, that's all I can say. That guy, he's got a hell of a mind for the business, you know, and I think him and Sean running NXT and Hunter, you know, running what he's running right now. Hats off to them. Bad thing for WWE right now. Honestly, I don't have a bad thing right now. I've actually really enjoyed the product again. It kind of take me back to, you know, being a kid again, kind of watching it. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of the Bloodline. Loving that. I wish Roman would be on TV more. I understand why he can't. But yeah, just red hot product right now, man. Love WWE again. Like it was kind of a minute there. I was like if I caught a Raw, I caught a Raw. If I didn't, I didn't. You know, I'd watch highlights. But now, yeah, I definitely try to tune in as much as possible again.
Marcus, I've got all I've got.
Yeah, I think I do too. You say you collecting action figures. What's the oldest action figure you have?
Oh boy.
What was your first one you bought?
Oh,
if you remember.
I don't know. If anybody's been in the S.W.S office, it is wall to wall, floor to floor, literally ceiling to ceiling, full of action figures and toys. Oh man, I honestly couldn't tell you. I couldn't give you an honest answer on the first one I ever bought. I've been collecting now for, oh boy, probably like Emmy and I have been together like a decade, and then I was collecting before her and I. So I would say I've probably been collecting like the last like 15, 16 years. So yeah, I couldn't even tell you the first one I bought. The oldest ones I have are definitely, I have some LGNs for wrestling wise. I have a bunch of Hasbros. I love my Hasbros. I'm always trying to collect more of those. Oh man, horror wise, oh man, I don't know, guys. I really don't. I'd have to really study this room. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in here. So,
have you been to that? I'm sure you have been in Kokomo. You've been to that toy store there on downtown Kokomo.
Collectibles, yeah. I've been there. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of that place. They're so expensive for what they have.
That's the problem. Yeah, they're rich. They are
like,
rich.
Arm and a leg, you know. Like I remember taking a couple, I don't know if you guys like on Friday the 13th. Like I have, like the little boy, you know, the kid that played him was Ari. You know, he doesn't sign a lot of stuff, and I have a mask and a little Funko Pop signed by him, and I remember hitting them up. And I was like, hey, what would you think for this? You know, because I really wanted, they had these Ninja Turtles that I wanted in there. And I thought maybe we could strike a deal because I think they wanted like 80 each on the Turtles. And that was like $40 too much, in my opinion, for each one. But I asked them about the signed Ari stuff. And I think they told me the mask they would give me, I think they said like 100. And then I want to say the Funko Pop was like $30. And I was like, absolutely not. I have the picture of the guy signing the stuff, everything. No, absolutely not. And then trying to trade in wrestling figures for other wrestling figures. Nah, yeah, definitely huge place. I mean, I used to shop those guys way back before they went downtown. So this was like, oh man. So Hoot's 15. So he was 1 when I started shopping with them. And that was some time ago. And that was before they had the big building that they have now. They had like a really tiny little house shop.
I think I remember that too. I was
And
saying,
they had-
I'm not going to look at what they have, but you're right. They're rich.
Oh yeah. They just overpriced, in my personal opinion. Like anytime anybody about like, hey, where do I go to get toys? I always send them to my toy guy, Wally and Lynn's Duncan flea market. It's basic. They call it a flea market. They have a little bit of everything, but it's 95% a toy store. And if he can't find it, I don't know where you're going to find it at, and pay a decent price. So Wally and Lynn's, they've always taken care of me. Just here in the last couple of years, I've gotten a lot of stuff from them for a really good price. They don't try to pull your arm and leg off at the same time.
A question I had was, I'd seen where at the end of the year you were going to end the S.W.S podcast. Why are you going to end that? And will that be something that you might bring back in the future?
So yeah, I am going to go ahead and shut the door on the Shootin with Shane part of it. The reason behind that, it's nothing bad or anything. It's just, I've done it for 3 years now, and I've been very honored to sit down and hear a lot of people's stories. And I have a table that's been signed by just about everybody, and there's a few people that signed it a handful of multiple times. But yeah, it's just a part of my life where, I like to kill my own creation before it dies, and I just feel like I've got to do something really cool, because when I first created the show, Emmy and I first created it. It was originally going to be called 10 Shots with Shane, where it's basically going to be 10 questions. And if you didn't want to answer the question, then you had to take a shot. And then that kind of turned into, well, I want to keep the shooting thing somehow in there. So we just came up with S.W.S Shootin with Shane. But yeah, like I said, doing it for 3 years now. I just, I've got to go way up and do some really cool stuff with that. So yeah, I'd rather just kill it off myself. And yeah, as far as bringing it back, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've had a lot of people ask me. There's still 2 people that I've not yet had on the show that I'd love to get on the show. But I don't know if that's going to happen. If I can make it work next year, I would come back to do those 2 shows, and probably those 2 shows only. But yeah, December 22nd will be the last one. Shane Calcert from, obviously the owner and operator of AACW, he's going to come on and be the grand finale. So that's going to be a lot of fun, because there's a lot of things that's happened in the last couple of years that we can, get into. So it's going to be a lot of fun for that episode. And I'm very honored to have him be the grand finale too.
All right. Well, do you got anything else?
I'm good to go.
What was there anything that we didn't talk about that you was wanting to hit on, Shane?
No, man, it's been a blast. Like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Marcus, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good. I think we covered it.
All right. So too. I appreciate everybody watching. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo'S Sports Room. Like and follow Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo'S Sports Room as well. Don't forget, we'll be live Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern with Warrior Pro Wrestling 27. Should be a real good show there on Sunday. So if you're in the Danville, Indiana area, come check it out. If not, you can find it on YouTube and Twitch at Gonzo'S Sports Room. But we appreciate everybody watching. We'll be back with another episode on Monday at 6:30. We're gonna have some guests on Monday, right?
Yes.
Who's all gonna be on Monday?
We got me, you, Marcus,
Rampage
Radisson, and
Warren Misery, and Austin.
Yep, Austin.
So should be a good show on Monday. Join us 6:30 p.m. Eastern for that. We appreciate everybody watching. Hope everybody has a great Wednesday night, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, gentlemen, have a good.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
Here This is Joey Owens Show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.